Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, HollywoodShono here, about to give you a WWE Immortals video. And this video we're going to be talking about what in the world has happened to WWE Immortals and why is the game basically recycling challenges and pretty much killing off its own game. Unfortunately, in the last 3 months, the only thing that we've actually gotten brand new was Triple H Ultimate Immortals. While patch 2.0 did bring a really good element within the game, they did so by making it a super cheap price of 95,000 credits, and then when they bumped it up to 650,000 credits, and then later on made all the characters multiplayer challenge characters, they basically put their own foot in the grave, and all they really had to do was reskin Gold Bellas, and there's probably other cards that they could actually redo skins on, but unfortunately, because of that, they've been recycling challenges for over 2 updates now. And really, how hard could it be to actually put in the evolved characters as challenges rather than in multiplayer characters? I really think that to save the game, they basically need to do a couple things. They need to add in all of the characters in the credits. You could also put Hulk Hogan back in the game, and I think that alone would generate a ton of money. Even if they kind of do like Injustice Gods Among Us 2.8, where you can't actually buy him for credits, but you can buy the early access. I think that NetherRealm would make a good profit off of it. Even if WWE has them banned, they could work out some sort of deal where 50% of the proceeds go directly to that game. But as it stands right now, the game right now is super boring, and that's why I haven't made videos on it. It's not that the game isn't, called fun to play. It's that there's absolutely nothing really to do. And it's a real shame because they actually have some of the funnest gear in the game. Like, for example, the chairman suit, you start at 2 bars. With Stephanie, you start at 3 bars. And that causes some gross combinations because of a gear item called Night of Champions, which they have not fixed all along. And it basically says adrenaline gain after knockout. Well, that adrenaline gain actually works even while it actually works as a power generation. That way, what makes it so ridiculous. All the other stuff is kind of cool, like the augmented 10% chance to take no damage. Sure, we can work on a lot of gear, but I really wish that they even had the bonus shattering, kind of like Injustice Gods Among Us did. I think that would encourage actually farming other stuff. WWE Immortals also has a gear item called Ultimate Extreme Rules, which is not present in Injustice and the actual pinnacle for basic damage. In Injustice Gods Among Us, you have to use 3-star gear like the Prometheum Longsword, the Bloody Sword. You can even use the Arkham Knight's gear item, which was a really good adjusting to Injustice because a basic damage gear item with unblockable mechanics is pretty cool. But they don't have anything that actually has like lifesteal. I think lifesteal would make certain characters really good like the Arkham Knight, and it would also be a decent counter to the bullshit stun mechanics that they have. They also have gear like the Ultimate Payback. As we know, WWE Immortals has been broken for months ever since I found out that once you hit 50% blocking, you take no damage from special attacks, whereas in Injustice Gods Among Us, the special damage reduction is capped at 10%. How do I know this? Max out your LexCorp helmet to 40%, or use 40% worth of blocking gear, and the max damage a special will do is 10%. Now, this gear item is also really fun because not only does it reduce versus Signature 2 damage, it's blocking. You can also Adrenaline Drain on Signature 2, so guys like Daniel Bryan, who are going to use Special 2 anyways, can be even more annoying with Adrenaline Drain. The chance to heal damage while blocking, not really a big deal. The obvious big deal is less Special 2 damage, which you can throw on your Kane or Big Show, and it's going to be even more annoying to knock them out. The Wrestlemania Gear is also really good in WWE Immortals, and I think this is one of the gear items. Like, what makes WWE Immortals fun compared to Injustice Gods Among Us is all the gear that they have on it. While they don't have the broken sets like Fourth World and League of Assassins gear, I think the LexCorp is pretty cool, but the other 2 sets I think are still a little bit too ridiculous. But this gear item is actually pretty cool because you don't have to be tagged in, so it basically gives you the Teen Titan Cyborg effect while you're tagged out, and the adrenaline regen actually works as intended. This is a balanced gear item. This is an awesome gear item, because it also gives you the power drain on Special 1, crit chance on Special 1, so for a guy like, say, Ares or Cassandra, well, even Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, or Batman, you can have a lot of fun with this card. Now, what I also like about WWE Immortals is they actually have funsy gear other than the Riddler's cane that actually do something. So you could farm credits with a gear item like this, and you get a chance to get 500 credits maxed out on every knockout, which is really cool because on top of the 4,600 you get from Bonus Battle 6, you can get upwards of 1,500 by just knocking people out. And the stamina cost refund instead of spending 3 energy per fight, it's a little bit less. This gear item obviously is pretty cool. The recharge system makes it even better because you don't have to spend stamina anyways. And it's tied into an XP item as well. And you also have that bonus effect where if you're running special ones, you can also disable enemy signatures. That's pretty cool. Another funsy gear item is Ultimate Money in the Bank, and I really love this gear item. Not only does it give you a generic unblock chance on basic attacks, but it also gives you crit on both special 1 and 2, which is really good, say, if you're using Harley Quinn, and you have heals on special 1, and you're also using the 357 revolvers. This gear item would be really good, because if you need to use bombs on the opponent, they have a chance to crit, and you have a chance to get additional credits after winning a match. This is gear that they need to put in Injustice, or they need to take some ideas and put it away. Battleground gear is pretty cool, even though I think it's a little bit broken and they don't need ridiculous heals. I think Enlightened Big Show is like the most ridiculous card in the game, and they haven't even fixed his healing for months. But this is a pretty cool gear item because it basically gives you the Aquaman effect when it's maxed out. When it's maxed out, you have a 100% chance of team adrenaline drain. So like if you use a Night of Champions with Battlegrounds, the opponent's not really going to be able to do any specials, which is a good counter for the big shows that heal you for like 30,000. And it also grants team adrenaline regen so you can get off finisher. This is a pretty cool gear item. The Survivor Series gear, in my opinion, is also pretty cool because you could team it up with gear items like the Ibis Stick, League of Assassins, the Dot Knives, and you wouldn't even have to run the knife collection because you'd have other ways to heal. Now, while the heal team on Signature 1 and Temporary Health Regen are kind of broken in a way, I still think that the gear is pretty cool because it does give you that flexibility with specials. So like if you're running gear like League of Assassins, if you're running 2-piece LexCorp, you have alternate ways to heal, which is pretty cool. And as we know, regens and direct heals or life steals work together. So you guys saw the ridiculousness of the Night of Champions gear. SummerSlam gear is also one of my favorite gear items because you get a big damage boost to Special 1. You can drain power on Special 2, which is good for somebody like Roman Reigns. But it could also be good for somebody that has like multi-hit moves like Contract Killer for Deathstroke. Arkham Knight's Gotham Strike does ridiculous hits if you hit 200%. And it also has the chance to reduce the adrenaline cost on all signatures and finishers by half of the cost. So if you do a super move, you can actually start with 1.5 bars of power if you're at 3 bars, and you get a reduced cost on your first one. You can actually get off 2 Special 2s. And if you're running LexCorp, that's amazing, because the 2-piece LexCorp, even the chest plate is really good by itself. Like the chest plate I thought was one of the most overrated gear items in the game. Not true. Now the DX Invasion truck is kind of like a upgraded Batmobile because anybody can use it. That's pretty much what they should have done with the Batmobile. Unfortunately, it's restricted to Batman. I don't know why. They should just get rid of that. Hell in the Cell gear item is kind of like the Ibis Stick, but it's not as broken, overpowered. It's basically a chance to dot the current health damage instead of maximum health. So, in my opinion, this is probably one of the worst gear items in WWE Immortals, but it still has that funsy mode because you have a chance to regenerate health when hit with any signature. And as you know, if you have enough blocking, you don't take damage from signature. So, you can basically make your guy a god by just having the Payback gear, another blocking item in this gear. Yeah, you don't do much damage, but the unblockable chance on Signature 2 can also be pretty ridiculous. Now, there's also the Royal Rumble gear, which a lot of people say suck, and I actually think this gear item is really good. You throw this gear item on with Payback gear and another gear like Battleground gear, not only are you going to be annoying as fuck to knock out with signatures, but you're going to have all kinds of ridiculous stuff involving Signature 2. Now you gain area effects on Signature 2. You can also adrenaline increase your team. You have crit chance on Signature 2. All signatures do less damage. And then with the Payback gear, you can also adrenaline drain from that too. So you can pull off some pretty cool stuff if you combine both of them together. Now with the TLC gear, it's kind of like the Ra's al Ghul Scimitar without the obvious power drain effect, but you can tag lockout on Signature 1, and that's pretty cool. It's kind of like Hawk Girl's passive ability, and that's why I think WWE Immortals just has really fun gear that they really should take advantage of. And I also like the concept behind the Hitman Shades because you get a damage increase after tagging. This gear item is really cool, and I thought it was a really good gear item. And you also have a chance to drain adrenaline over 6 seconds using Signature 2. I really didn't get that to work out that much, but it's still pretty cool. And you have a chance to reduce enemy adrenaline regen and damage after Signature 1 until tag out. So that's pretty cool when you're going up against bosses. I think this gear item was amazing, which is obviously why I evolved it. And there's some pretty cool stuff, like the Tribal War Paint is cool because it's basic damage and more damage on crit attacks. The only person that has this is Deathstroke. And that's also why he can pull off some ridiculous stuff. Now, there's also the futuristic weaponry, which gives a speed increase after Signature 1. If Solomon Grundy had a gear item like this, he might not suck so much. And this is one of the things that I think that Injustice Gods Among Us needs, is gear that actually buffs your speed. They have characters that do it, but unfortunately it's Red Sun Deathstroke and a silver variant of Flash. I think if Elseworld Flash had like 30% speed increase, he might actually be a fun card to play because it will allow the slow cards to not suck so much and other cards to do pretty well. Another gear item I thought was pretty cool was the Armor of Authority from Stephanie McMahon. You have a chance of lifesteal on basic attacks, and there is no lifestealing outside of the Gauntlets of Azrael, which you really need a lot of basic damage to not suck, and you have to put it on somebody like the Arkham Knight for it to not suck. Now, Stephanie McMahon obviously gained Adrenaline Regen for 6 seconds after tagging in. That's a pretty cool mechanic. And you generally get 15 crit on Signature 2. The Adrenaline Regen, not a big deal, but Lifesteal on a gear item is pretty cool. And then, of course, you have the Bullhead Tattoo, which stun on last hit of combo. There really isn't that many like stun combo ending gears, and I'm kind of glad they're not in Injustice Gods Among Us, as I think the stun on tagging is more annoying. But having characters with power drains on Signature 1 is kind of rare outside of rare gear items. But they have some pretty cool gear in the game, like even the Metal, for example. You have a chance to stun on any blocked signature. I think that WWE Immortals has the coolest gear in the game, and I really think that if they would actually put in some updates, that would make the game fun again, and not like recycled content, which is just royally pissing people off. I think that alone could save WWE Immortals, because if you look at the 4- and 5-star gear, you can see that there are 14 items either tailored to pay-per-views or general stuff. Like the DX Invasion truck and the DX Invasion truck and the Chairman suit are not there, but they have 12 pay-per-views for gear. Now, I think that's a pretty cool concept, and if they ever like add in new pay-per-views, they could just make new gear. But I really like the concept of the whole 2015-2016, because that would get more people in the season. Yes, you'd have duplicate gear. You could always just block that out from people using it, but it'd be kind of cool because then you wouldn't have to take the gear off from people. So, what do you think that NetherRealm has to do to actually save WWE Immortals? The fact that they haven't put out content for like 2 months shows that they either just don't care about the game, or they just want to overhype Injustice Gods Among Us and Mortal Kombat XL, and they're kind of shelving WWE Immortals so they can focus on that. But I think that if NetherRealm actually made a fighting game kind of like Mortal Kombat and Injustice, that alone could breathe a lot of life in this game, especially if you can use a lot of said characters. And obviously there's hundreds and hundreds of wrestlers that they could put in the game, so I don't think it's the fact that there's just no content for the game. They could make all the content they want. Obviously it takes resources and money to actually code new characters in the game, whereas reskins like Blackest Night, Doomsday, Amikane, Catwoman, and even Injustice 2 Superman don't take a whole lot. But it's going to be interesting to see when an Injustice 3.0 comes out, if it's going to take the 4 bars of power and they're just going to relegate 2 levels of special moves to ranks 3 and 4. We're just going to have to wait and see on that. But if you like this video talking about WWE Immortals and what they actually need to save the game, as well as new content, please give this video a like rating, comment, subscribe, share this video amongst your friends, and as a favorite, check out my other WWE videos playlist, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, which are all HollywoodShono. And hopefully one of the devs see this to know that this game needs to continue, and I think that there is a niche place for it. Have a wonderful day, kids.
www.youtube.com/HollywoodShono. Subscribe, bitches!